ago, I did something where I decided to do some of my home renos and do a live at the same time. I had so much fun that I decided to do it again because I got a lot of renos going on. So tonight, it's all about the plastering. And if you guys don't know, what happened is we had a really big storm about a month or two ago, and I had a lot of water damage take place at my place. So therefore, I was like, you know what? I had to redo a floor, and now I'm doing some parts, as you can see here. I have to redo this part of my drywall because it got ruined by water damage. And I have to do this part up here. I don't know if you guys can see. So I've got the pieces already kind of cut. I'm going to be doing this as I talk to you guys about what I feel like is going on in the world today. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Ashley. Hi, I'm a higher self channeler. I tap into anyone's higher self by someone's name. And what I've been doing is I've been using that gift to help those out there, anyone who really needs my assistance or healing. Because usually what happens is I tend to talk or channel to the higher self. And what happens from that is that I get some insight as to what's going on with you, what situations you're facing, dilemmas you might need some clarity on, etc., etc., etc. So I'm a little lower than usual because my son's in the next room and I'm going to be making some noise. So if he does come on, I'll just have to get off the live right away. But until then, I've got all of my tools. I've got my trusty drill. I have my Starhead drywall screws. I have my all-purpose plaster, as you guys can see. I have my tape. There is the conventional white tape, or you could be using this one for spot jobs. So I'm going to be using this one today. I got my gloves. Most people should use gloves. And I got these. I usually like the more metal version ones, but I could not find them. I buy them all the time and I couldn't find them. That's just the way it is. Also, just in case my drywall needs some cutting, I have this, and I also have my X-Acto knife. So let's get to it. So basically how I'm going to start this off is I have my handy drywall, okay? And I'm going to be trying to fit it into this hole. As you can see, it is a well ventilated, cleaned out hole. And in the midst of that, I'm going to be talking about what's going on. So for the last little while, I would say that the energies are getting really heightened in the sense of the new age that is upon us. A lot of people understand that we are ascending, but I also feel like energetically, even if you're not ascending, you still, hello, welcome. I'm doing some plastering and I'm doing some preaching at the same time. But for those of you that are feeling like you are on an ascension journey, please raise your hand if you are. I know there's only from Brazil. Brasileiro, como é que estás? Eu não falo muito bom em português, mas eu falo um pouquinho agora. Tu falas inglês, sim or no? For those of you that don't know, I just said, hi, nice to meet you. That was my Portuguese. A sério, sim, a sério. I'm just speaking to the gentleman in Portuguese. But anyways, I guess he said that he's not really into speaking English. So I am speaking English on this live. And at the same time, I'm going to be plastering and also putting. So talking about God, life, and love, and plastering and putting. I did this a couple weeks ago and I had a blast. So your English is very bad. Okay, well, let's do our best. I can't speak Portuguese the whole time because then the other people won't know. But I love you too. Thank you for coming on. I do love everyone that comes on because that's how I grow the channel. I've been at this channel for 13 years, but I just started it back up a couple years ago as I came onto my ascension journey. And a lot of us are on this ascension journey as we speak, like literally. Either we're at the beginning stages of the ascension journey or we're in the middle. I am from Canada. Hello. And the thing is, this phenomenon that's hitting us right all around the world, we're all going to be at different stages. We're all going to be at different soul levels. And that means in terms of age, it could even be how many times we've done this exact same life over and over again to make sure that this particular timeline. Brazil, muito bom. So what I'm saying is that even as confused as you could be, or how many questions you may have, if you have any questions of what ascension is, what may be going, please put it in the comments, because I'm really well versed in this. I've been on an ascension journey for a very long time. For those of you that do know me, my ascension journey got broken up into two parts because I was a lot younger when I started, and then I got fearful and I bowed out, and it was the biggest mistake I ever made. I went through a lot of years of suffering and pain. I would say what you would call as like a soul death, or some form of like hell on earth that I had to go through, or purgatory, in order to reclaim my righteous seat in the house of the kingdom again. And here I am for a second coming. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Ashley. Ashley, the Higher Self Channel. Hey, Jason. Additive manufacturing is the future. Do I think additive? I'm not exactly sure. What do you mean additive manufacturing? I know what manufacturing is, but what do you mean by additive? And for those of you that don't know what I'm doing, I'm going to be plastering. I was actually talking about ascension while I do some plastering, 3D printing. I would say 3D printing is very interesting, especially because I've seen that they've been using it in application for, let's say, like construction, as I'm saying right now, in building, etc. The only issue I see with 3D printing is that it could eliminate a lot of jobs, unless these jobs were refashioned in different ways, or we actually didn't do it from an egotistical standpoint of just trying to make more money, then yes, totally. But if it does take away, like if there's no distribution of labor to go around and formulating the 3D printing, I would be a little weary. Same as toy makers, same as any, like when it comes to the idea of maybe, yeah, refashioning jobs, exactly. Like when it comes to maybe manufacturing like clothing, etc., yes, that would be great, because then there would be a lot of children, in the Asiatic areas that might be alleviated. And you always do need people, but especially in certain industries, not that young. But I also feel like 3D printing would take away from a lot of industry. And unfortunately, there wouldn't be that distribution, I feel. Because as you can see right now with the cashier system, we're taking away cashiers, and we're using this like AI robotic insertion in our existence for, I think, the wrong reasons. Like I do hope we get to a point where we could maybe 3D print, let's say, body tissue or cellular tissue. That would be very interesting. Because cellular tissue would be really great, because from a biological standpoint, I think 3D printing could be really helpful that way. But I don't even think if it could be applied that way. But that's a really good question. It is happening as we speak, but I'm saying, like, to the point that, all hospitals would have them. All hospitals would have access. Like, how long that may take, that's debatable. You know what I mean? Because we have, as a society, have had so much invention and so much creation just get taken away very easily once we couldn't find if there was a proper price point, or if the greed couldn't, outweigh the measure of health. You know what I mean? Or like free energy, we're still holding out for that, even though we've had it multiple times in multiple ways. It just seems to poof, vanish into thin air. All of these theories and these mathematics just seem to vanish. Even the people that create it seem to just walk on out of our existence. So I do feel that obviously we need. Oh, thank you. I mean, I'm not well versed in this, so please don't. But yeah, please always use me as a springboard. I'm here for that. That's what us, the ascenders and everyone are here to do. We're here to spread our own thoughts and feelings, and I love sharing with everyone too, because that's how we get the word out. For those of you that were on here, and even Senhor Brasileiro, I know tu não falas muito inglês, mas I was just saying to the Brazilian here that he doesn't speak English, but I hope he's doing well. But yeah, I do feel like AI is something really tricky. I feel like 3D printing is tricky. I feel like free energy is tricky. Just because those that may commandeer it may not be the best, or even it could be if 3D printing was manufacturing, let's say, even military equipment or ammo, etc. That would be a little bit more hairy too. So it's just who's going to wield it, who's going to do it. That's what really matters. And I do feel like in this new age that I'm talking about, the new age we're moving into, this may be a possibility, because a lot of us are rising up, a lot of us that do see a lot wrong with the current situation and world we're in right now. We do find that there needs to be this change. And from my standpoint, as someone who has been on an ascension journey for many, many years, I know that it's a slow and steady pace. I know it's not going to happen overnight. And realistically, in this particular current energy, what I'm truly feeling, and I think those of you that are also on the same ascension journey do feel like we're at a stage where they call this a reaping stage within a season, where, you know, we've planted all of our plants in the spring and now we're reaping them in the harvest time, which is the time we're in. Or even like for myself, my birthday is tomorrow, I'm a Libra, and we are in that season of reaping. So I feel like energetically that's happening a lot for us right now. We are reaping either the benefits, or we're seeing things that we planted a while ago coming out, blossom and ripened and ready to go. So there is a lot of closing of cycles, I think, taking place right now as well. And if you don't know what a cycle is, feel free to ask. But what a cycle is it's either, it can be in different terms. It could be like 3 years, 7 years cycles, 9 year cycles, where we need to either focus on something karmic that we're trying to clear out of our lives, or it can be something dharmic that we're trying to embrace in our lives. And if you don't know what karma and dharma are, obviously we all know that karma is like the retroactive reaction to, let's say, an ill-willed, intended doing. But also what karma can be is if, let's say, for example, you're someone who needs to learn a lesson of some sort, and let's say the cutesy way didn't really work for you. So what happens is that's the dharmic type of cycle where you could learn something. A karmic cycle is where they're like, okay, we're going to give you the narcissist. We're going to give you the tyrant in your life so you can reach for your self-worth, so you can reach for your plans, so you can reach for your ascension. So necessarily the karma can be even on yourself. It doesn't necessarily have to be on another person. You also could have karmic ties or karmic issues that you're trying to relieve at this time. And I feel like right now, for most of us out there, we're reaching that head right now. For those of you that don't know what I'm doing, I'm talking a little bit about God, preaching, and doing some insulation right now. So I hope you join me on this mission. I'm not going to take the whole time, but I'm just going to start it up with you guys and then see how it goes. But really and truly, I feel at this precipice of time, like so many interactions are happening right now all around the world. And like not just here in North America, like they're popping off in Canada. It's going to be popping off in November for the United States, to see where everyone's at mentally, emotionally. Because even with the two candidates, like no offense, just like us here in Canada, our candidates aren't really representative of what we really need in our country. Like, yes, sure, we could always pick the better of the two worst situations, but that's really not a great situation. So I feel like in Canada, we're in the same boat. There's a lot of countries around the world that are struggling right now, not just with their government, but their financial system, with their economies, with everything else and in between. And if it's not that, it's war. And if it's not war, it's just like sheer, what's the word I could say? It's just a sham after sham after sham after sham. There's more of our personal, private, I would say, security and our personal power that is getting taken away all across the world. And I do feel like at this present moment in time, so many of us are waking up. There are those of us that are star seeds. There are those of us that are ascenders. There are those of us that are the chosen. And we're all here to do a job. That's pretty much what we do know, even from the get. We know that there's something that we have to offer to the rest of the world. We don't maybe know what it is currently, and maybe you do know what it is currently. But why I'm bringing this up is because I personally and truly feel that as we close out these cycles, we are stepping into a new age. Not only are we stepping into a new age from the sense of like walking into the age of Aquarius, which is a huge age, and an age, for those of you that don't know, they could call that, let's say, I think it's 12,500 years for an age. That means as we shift into the next like solar system or into the next galaxy that controls our interstellar and stellar existence. So you can understand like there's cycles in everything. But I think also the Aquarian age, I'm not sure exactly how long it lasts, but it is said that this is going to be a dawning age for something new and exciting. And I feel like that's what this whole buildup has been about in our ascension journey. So most of us may be getting our gifts. Most of us maybe are gifted already, and we may not have figured it out. Some of us are using those gifts. Some of us are healers. Some of us are channelers, like myself. I think I'm both. I think I channel and I'm a healer. I do the best I can at what I do, and I do it for the heart of people. Because in this day and age, I feel like all of these three-dimensional constructs that we live in, like money, fame, fortune, I think those things never really stuck home with me too much because simply it wasn't my style. Like I feel like in the astral sense and in the spiritual sense, I'm so wealthy. And I also feel like that's why these things don't really trigger me or get me to want like that type of lifestyle. Because realistically, if I can help people, that's way more prosperous to me than anything else. And maybe you guys feel the same way too. Because I feel like all of us have a voice to share. I think like all of us have gifts and wishes and wants to bring forth to this earth. And many of us are simply here because we have those wishes and wants. We reincarnated solely so we could do this. And I know you guys may not believe me, but I know firsthand that I've done this life multiple times. That's why a lot of us get deja vus. And at the same time, it's like when we do pass away, we do have this recall of like what took place and if we want to do it again because maybe we didn't meet the lessons. And I truly feel like I'm at maybe my last attempt at this life, and maybe you guys are too, but I want this to be the best and last attempt. And I feel like this is the time that we're going to do it. The energy in across the board for us trying to transform this from a, I guess, even a cellular level, because the more you individually transform, let's say as an energy body, as an energy entity, what you bring forth by transforming yourself is that ripple effect. And the thing is that so many people feel like one person isn't anything, and that is so not the truth, because by you doing or being you at your ultimate self, you actually inspire others to join in, because you actually take that leap of faith to do the scary things that people are too intimidated or too afraid to even try or attempt. So if you're somebody who's like, oh, I don't know if I should be trying this out, I don't know if I should be talking online, I don't know if I should be preaching at church, all of those things that you feel inside, the only reason why you question them is because you're scared of them. And why are you scared of them? Again, hello, my friends, the shadow is speaking to you. It's because that's what you truly want. Because if it wasn't something you truly wanted, think about it this way. You would have already dismissed it and you wouldn't be scared to do it. The reason why you're scared to do it is because there's something in you that's like, oh my gosh, if I do this and I love this, this could be amazing. And that's really scary to people sometimes. And you might think like, oh no, that's not what it is. Well, really think about it. Most of the things, the passions that we have in our heart are all surrounded by fear. If you ever notice that, if it's ever some type of self-improvement, to go after your passion in life, or to go after that major deal, or that girl or guy, it all comes with levels of fear. Why? Because of the happiness associated with to the fulfillment associated to it. So please don't ever think that when you get these fears inside of you that they're not telling you something. They are definitely telling you something. Because I am a higher self channeler, and I can honestly say a lot of the time that I speak to people, they're always asking me, what's my purpose in life? And trust me, I asked that question for friggin' my whole life until I went through the depths of hell, like falling from grace and then pulling myself out of the depths of hell. And then by the time I got out of the depths of hell, I was like, well, I know what my purpose is. My purpose is to live. My purpose is to be. My purpose is to be me. My purpose is to be the best version of me, because that was something I never did. All I ever did was try to succumb to what people wanted. All I tried to do was succumb to the ideas of what society thought was best for me. And you know where that got me? The depths of hell. So what I can say is a lot of us are turning on to this fact. You know what I mean? realizing that there's more to this than what it was several years back. Because I'll bet you anything that you guys, like me, have realized that your whole life has seemed like some dream. And then these last couple years have been like a shockwave to the system to wake you up, to be like, hey, 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 knock, knock. Something's off here, something's different, something's not making sense. It's the first time that the system that was prepared from you from the minute you were born to the minute that you stand in front of me right now is starting to crumble. There's more questions than there are answers. And that's exactly why people are starting to wake up. And this wake up is for everybody. Like, I meet so many different people at so many different stages of ascension. Some of them don't even know what the word ascension means, and that's okay. They just know that inside of their inner core, something's happening and they can't really put their face, or some of you are just getting so much anxiety dealing with life that is your actual body telling you you're ascending. Because realistically, why are you so anxious all the time? Now, if you were somebody that was born with anxiety, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the people that have lived most of their lives and then all of a sudden they're on medication the last 2 years because they just can't handle what's going on. And I mean, this is post-COVID. Like, it started off with COVID, to kind of shake us up, to kind of see how far our liberties could be taken. And then after we recovered from that, then we went into the stage of ascension where everything wasn't making sense, or slowly, our world was starting to not make sense. And that's the real wake-up call. If you haven't realized, everything's getting more tumultuous, more active, more ununderstandable. And it's all designed that way. Like, the greedy are just getting greedier and greedier. And here's the thing, what people don't realize is that there is a balance in life. There's a balance with everything. You can only go after so much greed until the greed swallows you up whole. And that will be the serpent eating the other serpent's end of the tail, because you can only go so far with greed before it eats you. So all of these people that are going after all of this money, that are going at the point where they're killing people, killing children, and I'm not even just talking about wars, I'm talking about the state of our economy and how people can't even put food on the table anymore. Do you think that I look around in my city and I don't notice how many homeless people there are versus like 4 years ago, 5 years ago? All of these things are happening for a reason. They are happening so that people are forced to come out of the construct of what we were told since we were children was the magical way of life. Even though so many of us suffer in anxiety. Why is that? Like, do you think indigenous persons in the middle of the forest of, let's say, South Pacific know about the stresses that we're going through, or are they just living their lives? And why is that? Why is it that humans like that don't have half or even a fraction of what we have, somehow are living the longest, they're eating the healthiest, they're healing themselves without any technology, nothing going on? It's because we've been put in these types of formats of world where we are told A, B, C, and D is how you get to happiness. But it's actually the other way around. It's actually like, D minus C minus B minus A is the way to happiness. Because truly, some of the poorest people I've ever seen around the world traveling, and I used to travel a lot. I think right now I'm at about 15 countries, and I'm not saying that that's a lot because there's way more out there. But the poorest people I ever met were the happiest people. Because you know why? They could tap into gratefulness. And gratefulness is so close to godliness. And then embracing God and embracing the gratefulness in every day. That you're alive, that you have your health, that you have food, that you have a roof over your head. Like, you have legs to walk, you have eyes to see, you have ears to hear. You know how precious that is? Like, have you ever felt shitty about your day? And I'm not trying to put people out there that are disabled, but you see someone, let's say, in a wheelchair, and you look at your legs and you're like, oh my gosh, what was I complaining about? Why do we have to get to that point to be grateful? Gratefulness is something that all of us should share every day, because I truly feel like that's how you get to the divine, is through gratefulness. There's other methods, but I think that's why I'm saying sometimes our illusion of what happiness is can be found in so many different ways, and it's not the ways that we were told they are made out to be. Because really what makes us happy is community. Really what makes us happy is sharing. Really what makes us happiest is love. So going after all of these idolic things, to make us satiate for happiness, you're not going to get there. And the same goes for, let's say, pride or ego or even vanity or even acclaim or anything like that. Like, of course, we all want, attention, but at the same time, like, how far are you willing to go for that attention? If it comes at the cost of other persons, I would say forsake it, because you want to know something, you're a sellout if that's the case. If one person gets injured from your fame, then you were never worth being admired in the first place. Because I truly know in this heart of hearts, like, yes, it is great to spread a message. It is great to do a lot of things. But in hindsight, if people are getting injured by your fame, you should really reconsider what you're doing. But again, for those of you that are famous, I hope that has never happened to you. Some people are very well aware of what they want in this life. I myself just want to be the best healer I can possibly be in my lifetime. And that's all I want, because I know that there's a kingdom for me out there. I don't need to make this my kingdom. God's kingdom is my kingdom, so I don't need these earthly things to make me happy. Even just kicking it with you guys and doing plastering at like 11 o'clock at night. And come 12 o'clock, it'll be my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Another revolution around the sun. But the reason why I was talking about these cancellations or these closings is that if you haven't noticed, as things are closing, so many things are being revealed. Slowly, 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 slowly. Karmic cycles are ending. So what that means is that for a lot of people that did a lot of bad things, those in Hollywood, those in politics, etc., they're going to get revealed one way or another. Just because, like I said, once the serpent swallows its own tail, it becomes a circle. And that circle means that that revolution has to come to its finality and or beginning. So it may be the beginning of your karmic cycle, or it may be the ending of your karmic cycle. And how long that goes on is certainly up to you. That much I'll say. Because the thing is like, once you've gone through the karmic cycle and you know how to surpass that, only you can go into another one. And how do you go into another one? By repeating the same mistakes you did the first time. So, like for myself, I went through karmic cycles simply because of my self-worth. Because I kept getting into relationships with men that didn't love me or care for me the way I needed to be treated. And I'm being honest and blunt here because I need you guys to have a real explanation or a real example to get through it. So what happened to me? I went through 3 of these before I was like, hello, uh-oh, there we go. There's a trend. There's something going on where I'm seeing the patterns and I'm seeing what's happening. So you have to understand everybody's karmic cycle is different. Everybody's karmic cycle takes longer or shorter, just depending on when you learn that lesson. You could even figure out the lesson without a big, catastrophic ending. And let's say that's the case. If you figure it out before the time frame, you just get out of it and you start going into the dharmic one. And I would hope and say that all of you have succeeded through a karmic cycle, because they are pretty brutal. They take a long time to pass. But at this present moment, as we go into this next stage, the age of Aquarius that is beckoning to us through this ascension journey, we may be closing out a lot of different things in our lives. It could be relationships, it could be partners, it could be business ideas, it could be lifelong careers, it could be anything, to be quite honest. Because if we don't realize what this time is, we may just miss it. And as someone who is ascending on this journey with the rest of you, I know that there is an ending coming. I don't know how the timeline is going to work out and what's going to take place. Could it be a catastrophe? Perhaps. Could it be a world war? Perhaps. Could it be both? Perhaps. Could it be Yeshua returning and taking us on ship and getting us out of here? Perhaps. But I'm just saying, at the same time, it still means that an ending is coming and a new birth is going to begin. Because simply and truly, all of this has come to a head. This type of way of life is not working. And we see that with how much issues we have at maintaining simplicity of human decency. Like, if everyone was humanly decent, then you know what? We wouldn't be in this predicament. We wouldn't be in the issues we're in right now. But the problem is people got greedy. People wanted more. And it's that constant cycle of what Adam and Eve went through. I'm not really a biblical person, but I use the story just as an example. And this is not the only one. This is like Icarus. This is like, oh my gosh, almost every Greek tragedy there ever was. All they're trying to do, or even like, let's say Thor and that whole story with Loki, etc., like trying to overtake, their father, stuff like that. It's like everyone always wants to reach for God. And the thing is that every time someone does this, and the reason why I'm saying that they reach for God, what I mean is power. What I mean is like trying to overtake the world. Like that's how the Adam and Eve thing got brought up, because it was like, they wanted that innate knowledge that God was saying they couldn't have. And they're like, I want to be like God. So they went and they did it and they got banished from Eden. Humans have a tendency to go do this all the time. They can't just let, lame dogs lie. You know what I mean? They have to go for the gusto. They have to go for more. And it's like, why can't we just be content with what we were given? I'm not fully always for different religions or different backgrounds, but I can honestly say the natives and or any indigenous group that decided to stay closest to nature and the rhythm of Mother Gaia or Nova Terra, I honestly feel like that was the best way to go, because it's like everyone knew their place, everyone knew their delicate intricacy in that cosmic web that is our humanistic society, and that blueprint, that web that we all have one filament as a part of. So I feel like that's where we lost sight of our actual divinity, is when we tried to keep reaching and be God. And the sad part was that we were gods all along. It's like as if like in the original story they dangled that carrot, and the rabbit always went after the carrot type of thing. And it's kind of sad. I can imagine as like this grander being, you're always hoping that with every attempt that they just won't go after the apple. You know what I'm saying? Because realistically, in our own right, like I said, we are gods in our own right. We are of God. We are God's children. We are the product of God. And so therefore, we all have an aspect of God within us. So us always reaching as a society or as a human race to be more like God has basically injured us from the beginning of time. We have constantly done this and we have constantly failed. And we realistically, just like Einstein said, we repeat this over and over to the point of insanity, thinking we're going to get a different result. The result is that we don't understand the delicate balance of what it means to be the all-encompassing source, creator, God. So we as human beings should just stop doing what we're doing, listen up to what Mother Nature is telling us, take it easy, follow the rhythm of the flow of life and love and God, and like just be who our truest self is and be the best at what we are meant here, we were put here to do, instead of going after things that have no importance to our soul evolution. Because if any of you do know where your soul comes from, or your background, or your, let's say, your star lineage, you would know that this is a drop in the bucket place. And not just that, it's a school place. And not just that, it's like a testing ground. And not just that, it's like, it is one of the lower forms of density consciousness that a soul can even visit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to take it so seriously, to go after this minuscule amount of power, just it kind of feels sad. But yet all of the people here try to keep doing that. And I'm not going to say that universally, or even on the other side, or well, not so much the other side, but other dimensions, they still fight for certain things too. So it's something that I feel like doesn't get really understood till about a 12th dimensional thinking and feeling. And if you guys don't know what that means, it means that if you can imagine how people talk about we're in a 3D existence right now and we're trying to migrate into a 5. All it really is you opening up your consciousness enough to actually vibe at that particular dimensional existence, so that you actually perceive the existence, you step into it. And it's not just you step into it, it's not like you're going to go through a wall or something. It's like you actually mold the world around you using that consciousness that you've tapped into to create it. But the thing is, why we say it's a whole movement is because if enough of us open up that way of thinking and open up to the prospects that we are bigger than what we truly are, if we remember where we come from, we remember what the consciousness provides or what the consciousness is, then we as a wave can create it all together, so that all of us are on the same dimensional thinking and feeling and observance, right? So that's what the whole 3D to 5D thing is. So that's just to give you an idea. As you reach higher and higher in dimensional thinking and awareness, you can get to the Davic or the grander, I guess, like demigod way of thinking. And that's when you start to breach out of duality. Unfortunately, within a dual nature, even across our galaxy, this power dynamic still exists. There is still wars going on different places, etc. So it is unfortunate that a lot of us humans have all the answers right here in front of us, which is to unconditionally love everyone. We still struggle with things like man and woman, black and white, and other, cultures and other, religions and this and that. And it's like these little things just like break us apart piece by piece by piece, group by group by group. But really and truly, we're all the same thing. Like, I mean, yeah, we got different lives. Yeah, sure, we're different ages. Yeah, sure, we're different sexes. Yeah. But you want to know something? If a bomb hits, we'll all freaking die. If a flood comes, we'll all die. Won't we all die the same? I think so. So why do we have to spend our whole lives distinguishing all of our differences? If we put as much energy in distinguishing differences as we did in actually coming together, like, think about that. That is just a reciprocal thinking. Like, if you could find all the reasons why you're more alike to your neighbor than you are different, this whole world would transform. Simplest thing. But it's the simplest things that elude humans the most. And that's the unfortunate thing that I can see as a human being living on this planet, globe, place right now. Because realistically, it's like all I've done my whole life is try to hope and help people understand that. Because I've had people tell me like, oh, you say this because you're a white woman. And it's like, I'm like, see, you still don't get it. You're still putting me in boxes. Like, I'm talking about getting out of boxes and you're still putting me in boxes. What if you could say to yourself like, oh, maybe she's somebody who's a challenger of thoughts and theories, who actually wants to over and compensate for what lack of love we have on this planet. But I know that realistically, as human beings, we will get there one day. And this ascension journey is going to show us this. And there may be big things that happen in our lifetime. I will guarantee that big things are going to continue to happen in our lifetime that are going to mold us into that understanding. Because everyone's so scared of what's to come. But realistically, if anything, it's all God commanded and destined, and it's going to have its way, shape, and form for us to evolve into this chance at an existence that is different than anything that we have afforded ourselves, into a place of happiness, into a place of growth, into a place that we don't have to listen to all of these people. Like, I don't know, man. I am the type of person, like, I've been arrested. I've always fought against authority. I've gotten beaten up by cops. I don't know what to tell you guys. Whenever I feel injustice happening, I try my best not to get out of hand. And I'm not saying to go do that. But what I'm trying to say is, like, COVID came, they wanted me to get the shots. I was like, screw you too. I don't know what it is about me, but I feel like, at least in my lifetime, that we need to fight for all of this stuff, because they're just gonna, like, what I mean, they is the powers that be, like, those corporate heads and or rich families and or military agents that control most of this planet. They basically can push buttons or make phone calls and everything changes for us. Those are the types of people I'm talking about, and I will continue in my lifetime to keep fighting against that. So I don't know. I can see that for our whole planet, that we're at a time where we're going to have to fight for our rights. We're going to have to fight for our liberties. We're going to have to fight for our freedoms. And it starts with not picking certain politicians that we're seeing. And it comes from actually implementing and doing what we believe in versus doing what we're told. All we've ever done is do what we're told. And look at all of us. Or any of you, like, please, I know there's only one person right now and I don't want you to leave, but either way, all I'm saying, for those of you that do watch later, please think about this. How many of you can raise your hand and say, oh, I'm happy? You know what I mean? Like, how many of you are drugging yourselves? How many of you are, drinking yourselves, dosing yourselves, whatever yourselves, just to get through the days, just so you don't feel depressed? I personally feel like I have not been as happy as I am right now, and I will continue to grow in happiness, because every day I fought for who I am and what I believe in. And it's not even just to say on this ascension journey, but I would say as I got closer to God and my true power inside, my own God self within me, I have found that the happiness just unraveled. And I do truly feel like it's all about opening up to that consciousness of not just the metaphysical side, but also how we can manifest. And manifesting also has to do with thought. It also has to do with vision. It also has to do with belief. So, what I will say is that if you're somebody who is on this journey, or you think you're on this journey, or you think things are weird, they're going to get hairier, and they're designed that way so that we do wake up. Like some of us are already awake. There's the need to wake up. So there may be more situations that are coming our way, catastrophically, warlike, not warlike, government wise, financial wise, all to show you that the system can crumble. And are you still standing? And if you are still standing, what does that mean for you? What if all of society were to change? Like seriously, what if the jobs, everything just, fell apart? Would you be able to find purpose in your life then without somebody telling you what the purpose is? And I know I'm always posing these questions, but really think about that. Like if somebody didn't tell you like, hey, you're getting 200,000 to do this job, to work this time and go on these vacations and go to these places and do these things, how would you feel as a person if all that fell away? Do you feel strong enough? Do you feel like you're at a place where that would be okay? Are you looking for that to happen? And if your answer to that is, yeah, I'm waiting for that to happen, until the redemption of the until the praise of his name, glory. Yeah, Yeshua, of course. I am a big fan of Yeshua. So I think Yeshua is obviously the consciousness that we're all striving to be on or to be a part of, because he actually was one of the only humans to actually walk in this existence and get through it. He was actually a prince of his own right, and he relinquished all of his earthly realms items to preach the word and be more of the layman with all of those around him. He didn't care what status, he didn't care who you were, he didn't care if you're a man, a woman, what color, what creed, whatever. And that's exactly what I'm trying to say, is that once we can get to that stage of unconditional love that Yeshua is trying to profess to all of us, we will be in a better place. And that's the whole thing. Not even everybody, unfortunately, Luke, that may watch me or not watch me, may not even be Christian. Some people don't even know who Jesus is, and that's an even sadder truth. Some people don't even know who Buddha is. Some people don't even know who Gandhi is, who all of these great speakers and those who walk the paths before us are. And now we're here and we're trying to do it, and we're being embraced and we're being shown by God how to move through this life. But realistically, the main pillars of what we were shown by our masters was to love everyone. And what does that mean, to love everyone? Sounds really simple, but it's the hardest thing to ever achieve, because if we had achieved it, we wouldn't be here right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like we got to just focus on one principle: love. Love. So simple, but yet so hard. So that's why I'm saying, for those of us that are ascending, that is our true mission here. Our true mission is to find out who we truly are, what we can contribute to this, how we can put forth more love to this world, and how we can shape this age as it comes upon us into a better place, a place where Yeshua would be able to walk beside us and know that we are walking in his name all the time. Because I know, as someone who is on the path, that that's all I've ever done. Even from a young child, even though I was not the biggest fan of institutions, Yeshua was the only one I wanted to listen to out of the whole rigmarole. Because I felt like everyone else was, self-glorifying, and everyone else in history was always patting their own back, and everyone else. And it's like, Yeshua was the only one that was actually trying to do the most tremendous things. And, he wasn't looking for all that praise. So I always follow him. Really show leadership will really be needed for the people who need guidance, because people will need guidance during the reset. Oh man, Adam, hi. I haven't seen you for a while. I hope you're well. Yeah, the reset is inevitable. Yeah, I can say that wholeheartedly, Luke. I'm right there with you. Yeshua and I have a very strong relationship, and he has revealed himself many times to me. So I don't even question his existence or his consciousness or a lot of the other players. But yes, Adam, we definitely need to be those that are there to pick up the pieces. And I also feel like the guidance is going to come from a place of in our hearts that we've had to craft this entire time. A lot of us that are on this journey, we have been going through, trials and tribulations that are sincerely just to test us, to shape us, to mold us, to get to a place where we could carry people, where we could help people, where we could take the burdens that others cannot. So I feel like, even for how I speak for myself, I know that in my particular group of friends, etc., I went through a lot of tribulations with heartache, and I know that I've gone through a lot of tribulations with, let's say, abuse or different situations that I had to trudge through just so that I could be here right now to help coach those or heal those or be an aid or be an ear or shoulder to cry on, so that they can find their own healing. So I know that all of us go through a lot in this journey, simply so that we can learn and grow, so that come the time we'll be prepared ourselves. Like I was saying earlier in this, I don't truly feel like this was all for nothing. A lot of this last couple of years, where a lot of us have been turned on, a lot of us have come back to our roots, a lot of us have been remembering, getting downloads, etc., as to where our soul ties come from. We are realizing more and more the more we open up that consciousness. And usually, the Christ consciousness is one of the ultimate consciousness, not just here, galactically. Yeshua permeates through the galaxy. So what I would say is, like, we're struggling as a populace at the moment, but we're actually making huge strides as people, individuals, and that does make a huge difference. And as much as I've wanted to plaster, I feel like I've been more focused on the live than I have on doing what I was doing. And then for you guys, I was doing some drywalling, but I got so involved, and the spirit was just getting so into me, because I feel like that's how lives make me feel. I just love coming on at times when I can, because I don't always have all the time in the world, so I do appreciate it. But for those newcomers that are here, my name is Ashley, and I just wanted to impart this word today. And I hope that I haven't really been doing much of this, but it's already almost an hour in. So I think I'm going to leave it off at that. What I will say is that when this cycle does hit upon us, and it will, and it is ending as we speak right now, a lot of things are going to come to karmic ties and ends. There's going to be a huge revolution. Like I said, that whole serpentine eating, the tail type of thing. It's all going to come full circle. And a lot of that was in the shadow is going to be brought to light in this time, in this season of existence. So we should be prepared for that. And that can even be happening for you guys and or family members, etc. It can even be from the micro to the macro. So that energy will permeate through everything. Learning to be a leader and manager on my job for 11 years. Sometimes we don't know the role we're supposed to be in. I know, right? It reveals, like, I wouldn't say, like, as I came on this journey, that I would be online doing all of this, but I realized that those were strengths that I already had in me. I had been a trainer before, I have been a teacher before, so some of these traits, like you're saying, have been molded, and that's what I was trying to say. I was saying that as we go through our path, we find that the tests that we go through, or the challenges, or the even karmic debts that we have to pay, etc., is so that we can formulate that mustard seed within us to grow forth. And I think that those were things that were already innately in us that just needed some watering and just needed some nurturing so that it could blossom into what it needed to be. And truly, I feel like that's why we go through what we go through. It's not just for the challenge itself, but it's also for what we can bring forth for the future. That's truly what I believe. Okay, thanks, Luke, for the discernment of the Holy Spirit. Yeah, I will, the Word of God, pray for discernment from the Holy Spirit. I don't know what the context is for that, but I love discernment. I feel all of us need to discern always. I would say, in the way God has always shown me, is that I tend to work mostly with my solar plexus and my will, and I would say my sacral, or I would say even my gut, whatever way you want to put it. But I would say that the discernment that I've ever needed mostly comes from that first and foremost. I truly don't need to do much more than that, because I feel like my body and my spirit within my body kind of reacts, even from a a bodily standpoint in regards to what's right and wrong. So I think those are fixtures that are kind of innately in us. Okay. I'm sorry. Have I? Guess I haven't. Well, anyways, thanks a lot, guys. I hope you guys have a good one. I really do feel like I've always been about Yeshua's mission since the beginning of my existence. But I hope you guys have a good one. Love you lots. Have a good one. Bye-bye.